Hey guys, what's going on? I just wanted to do a video on Diablo 4 because the new season of Blood came out for it, and a lot of changes have happened, and I'm actually really enjoying it this season. And I just wanted to give a little insight on what has changed and hopefully what they might change in the future in case you're maybe wondering, is it worth getting into? Is it worth playing? Because a lot of people were not very happy with season one, which was rightfully so. Wasn't quite that nice, but season of two has definitely brought forth a lot of changes that have been quite impactful and made the game much easier. So, to get started, I'll explain what the seasonal things are, and then I'll get on to the rest of the changes. So, Season of Blood is bringing forth vampiric powers. Basically, you do the blood harvest or any form of content actually to get the blood things which allow you to upgrade your almost glyph like vampiric powers, which one of them is a called metamorphosis. Basically, it changes your evade into like an unstoppable dash and curses all the enemies in its path, which is quite cool. And there are many more like ultimate skill stuff and such like that. So definitely a lot better than the season one um affixes, because the malignant hearts were very strong, but you had to get specific sockets on your jewelry in order to use it, which was quite annoying, except for the wrathful, which could be placed anywhere, but the other two that you used, you had to have like a red, blue, or purple socket, and it was like it felt terrible and there was no way to change it. Whereas the vampiric powers require a X amount of three different, um, three different, I guess you call them currencies in a sense, on your armor pieces. But you can use items to erase all the ones on it, and you can use items to put new ones on it as well. So it's a much better design, much easier to use, and it doesn't feel bad when you roll bad currency things. So you have like the skull, you have like a chalice, and I don't know what the other thing is, but you get those. Each one of your vampiric powers requires X amount of things. So it would be like six skulls, one chalice, one skull, things like that. So it's very easy to get all of your powers to work once you start getting all the items. And you get the items just by doing content, just anything, world content, um, by doing the blood harvest. Hell tides, I think, also drop them. You can find chests around in dungeons. Your nightmares, you find the chests as well, and I believe in the whisper caches too. But on to the next part is all these bosses that have appeared. So you have Varshan, which you need three different consumables for. You need a head, a severed hand, and a broken femur, all disgusting and gross, but it matches with it. So that'll allow you to summon Varshan, which allows you to get another thing, which is like an egg. And once you kill him twice and another boss twice, you can summon an even stronger boss later on. It's pretty cool. And then you have the Nightmare boss, where if you do plus 30 to Nightmare dungeons, you get a Fear Vial, which once you collect 9, you can go into you can craft a Nightmare Sigil to go into the Glacial Fissure and fight that boss, who I tried and did not succeed. I was a bit low level. And then you also get blood vials from doing Legion events and world bosses too. And that once you get 9 of those, you can summon another boss. And each of these are all linked in. And then once you do certain bosses, that you can then do another boss, which is kind of crazy. So there's like I think five total seasonal bosses you can do in a sense, and each of those has a higher drop chance for your uniques. So there is a list out somewhere where Varshan drops these four uniques for you, or has a much higher chance to drop these four than let's say uh the other one. I think it's the beast, the ice beast or whatever from the glacial fissure. He can drop these four. He has a higher chance of dropping these four, which doesn't mean that the other ones won't drop from them. It's just you have a much higher chance to drop, which means you can focus farm in a sense. And the one that costs two eggs and two other eggs, which is from doing the the other world bosses or whatever, he has a higher chance of dropping the uber uniques, such as Harlan's helmet or whatever. So it's quite interesting to see. Um, Definitely a lot better. The experience gain is so much higher too. Like you'll see in the background, I'm just running nightmare dungeons and stuff like that. Is I'm getting like 1 to 2 Paragon levels per dungeon, which before it was like not even one, maybe 2 or 3 dungeons. I would get a Paragon level, which felt terrible. It was super slow. 1 to 50 is still a little bit faster. It's still about the same. I don't think they really wanted to change it because it didn't feel so bad in season one. But definitely, the 50 to 100 has been accelerated extremely, like much faster than before. Um, but on to another thing, which is gold. So the gold income is actually absurdly high right now. I don't know if that's intended, but a lot of people were had complaints on the resetting of abilities and resetting Paragon. Um, Basically, with the gold increase, the gold cost has become irrelevant. It probably costs I don't know, 400k to reset your abilities, and you probably get around 500 to a million gold if you just run a nightmare dungeon. And that is a lot. It is a lot higher, and I think you get about a 700k from a Whispers cache too. So gold income has almost tripled. It's quite crazy because you used to have to sell your items and stuff like that in order to just to get a million gold, which was quite tough. But there has been a lot of changes and all very good. I'm really enjoying this season. It feels much better. I also think they nerfed a bit on the nightmare tiers. So I think the nightmare dungeons are much easier. You also gain a significant increase to XP if you're doing higher level content, which is the nice part. Whereas before you maxed out at 3 and it was only like a 5% experience gain, which didn't feel so great. But yeah, I think that covers most of what I remember from changing. It's the main things from um all the changes, but on to things that I would like to see changed is the stats and enchanting. So right now, in my opinion, there are way too many stats to look for. Um, Vulnerable damage and overpower are fine. I don't mind those. It's the whole close enemy, distant enemy, injured enemy, healthy enemy. Although, like, that is just crazy to me. Like, I don't think those are really necessary. But then you also have like injured enemy in damage over time, or uh, you know, healthy enemy and damage over time, or healthy critical damage, and it's like, why so many of these variants? Well, let's try and compact it. Hopefully they do something about that because I just find way too many stats to roll for. And then also, Diablo 3 had this great enchanting system where you could actually see what the possibility of your enchant could change to. I think that would be a wonderful change to the enchanting system is just to see what can I roll this into? Like what can I aim for? And that would be really nice to me. It would definitely save you a lot of time going, "Oh man, let's try and get this, or this," or looking up on the internet, "Oh man, can I even get this on this piece?" It would be really nice just to have that list right there. Just be like, click the question mark, and a list of what can this roll into pops up, which would be nice. Um, the last thing I want to talk about is item level. So it's really weird. But they have made a lot of changes. So once you get into the nightmare tiers, sacred becomes a priority in tier 3. And then I believe once you hit tier 4, ancestral becomes the priority. And then at some sort of level threshold that you hit, only ancestral starts dropping. Pardon me. And then I believe at a further, I think at the same threshold, um, blues blues start just dropping as crafting materials, so you shouldn't be getting those anymore. But onto the actual item level, I find it super, super inconvenient that you could have a regular, let's say, 420 item level piece, and it could have much better rolled stats than uh, an ancestral 860 piece. That's kind of absurd to me. Now, the upgrade system seems to be doing more than just 5 item levels. In my opinion, it seems to be upgrading by at least like 50 or 100 even. Like it is an insane amount because I've had it was a 450 ring that had shadow damage and stuff on it, and then I found like a 860 ring that also had shadow damage, and I was looking at the ranges that could jump, and they're about the same. Now my 420 was fully upgraded, whereas my 860 I just had in my bag. So I went and upgraded that, and it jumped significantly as well. So it's very misleading with the upgrades. So hopefully something like that changes. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight on what season 2 is bringing to the table. Um, this season is very, very nice. I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely a significant improvement on season 1, and I can't wait to see what they're bringing in season 3, which is coming supposedly in January, because that is when the battle pass ends. I'm super excited to see. I'm really enjoying Diablo 4 for the most part, other than some of the hiccups that appear, but those are kind of whatever. I mean, bugs happen all the time, right? So see what happens any further. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I see you in Sanctuary every so often. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Later.